You don't remember me.
Who are you and where are you from?
I'm
What
from,
grandma? What city? What village?
Anchorage, Alaska. You don't remember me.
How could I not remember all the great work we did together? Oh my God, in all of our meetings and all of our breakfasts.
Yes. Good to see you again.
It's too late.
Oh, I need to be on that side. That's a shady side.
Happy belated birthday. You got like six. You've been celebrating like six of them. I see those birthday wishes on the flag. Give the lady some shade. Yeah. Ready? Good? Rawa hopa hino mape kami hang paikam si chanese tamaya my osata APCG chairman. Good morning, good afternoon, and thank you for all for coming out here. Appreciate it. It's for a very good cause. We're out here, and I would like to turn it over to Governor Aguilar from the Pueblo of San Domingo to give an invocation.
Hemeralds tseim kaimati adis ahti is ana shreya temekota kahite askatse chima te atsema ko omasta tiri kocha iska toni wea ya yetocha adi hos haiti tse isk tjom ya atitjo adis kona tsa shreya te tuti so otim haiti tse ka sam na orkene kesko atsa haika met tse isk no it yok haun ye koste hast te tocho etra etze etsa rao atsema ko nimata ko kotis koni naton si na yok haun ye tocha ocha kaima shatonya kat me ye so mena kais hande wana che ye chocha aritone skatse ye tse haiti tsi ena so yamska hore ye skatse kitra ta haika me ye skatse si isk chode gat me haike tunit eoko ma out eko me yokote yokam so yotse ta ma ea tsa tiskoga just ea netro ocha. Good afternoon, my name is Raymond Aguilar, June Governor Senator. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an invocation for this event. Thank you. At this time, I'm going to pass it back over to our all Pueblo Council governors, Joey Sanchez, our chairman.
All right, once again, thank you for coming. I'm Joey Sanchez. I'm chairman of the All Pueblo Council of Governors. And I would like to turn it over at this time to Senator Martin Heinrich for words. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I have a very simple message here today. Chaco Canyon is not for sale. Let me say that again. Chaco Canyon is not for sale. New Mexico has an important role to play producing energy for the nation. We're the second largest producer of oil in the country. We produce far more electrons than we consume, and we have never had to sacrifice our most sacred places to do that. And we should not do that going forward. Chaco Canyon is not just a place on a map. It is not a museum. It's not about what happened 1,000 years ago. It's about the future, and it's about these governors and their communities and their identity and their relationship to this sacred place that they use now. This is not about the past. This is about cultural identity, and it is about our future and our state's ability to stand up for what is right and moral. Chaco Canyon is not for sale. And our New Mexico delegation stands arm in arm and shoulder to shoulder with these tribal governors and their communities in standing up to protect this place. And we will fight that fight until we win. Thank you.
Next, I would like to call up Senator Ben Ray Luján.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here as well. To all of our governors, Pueblo officials, members of the council, thank you all for the wisdom that you share, not just with those of us that have the honor of representing New Mexico, to the entire country and around the world. I join with Senator Heinrich in his words, being abundantly clear to this president and to all involved that Chaco is not for sale. Sacred sites, special places throughout the United States are not President Trump's own piggy bank. These are not to be exploited. To everyone that is here today or that is listening today that doesn't have the honor of working with one of our First Nations, our sovereign nations, one of our pueblos, those of you of faith have places maybe where you go and pray, where you go and reflect, where loved ones have been laid to rest. There's not a one of you that wants to see those places desecrated. Not a one. That's Chaco. Chaco is a special sacred site that deserves these important protections for everybody, for all of our brothers and sisters that are here today, for all nations around America, our First Nations. We all agree that sacred sites must be protected. And as Senator Heinrich pointed out, this delegation will use every tool that we have at our disposal to make sure that we protect Chaco. Now, one thing that I want to highlight, President Trump and his cronies tried to find a way to expedite public comment so that every one of you that loves Chaco and wants to protect Chaco, you only have 14 days. After today, 13. And we need you to come forward and make sure you are participating in public comment and letting your voices known. Do not let this clock that the president set, which is one of the shortest I've ever seen, go without any of us noticing. One of our colleagues who has been leading efforts as well in the House of Representatives, she also leads the legislation in the chamber over that way, who's with us today as well. And I want to turn this over to her, if I may, Mr. Chairman. That's our very own United States Representative, Teresa Leger Fernández.
Thank you very much, and I want to thank the governors. I want to thank Governor Aguilar. Thank you for the prayer. Thank you for bringing the corn pollen and the corn that we know is spread in Chaco. We know it is spread in sacred sites throughout New Mexico, and now it and its prayers are with us today. And it is this concept of preserving those places where you pray, where we pray, where we understand our past, and by understanding who we are and where we come from, that we understand our future. And it's not just that Chaco Canyon is not for sale. Chaco Canyon is not for sale, and we will not give away our heritage for corporate profit. We will not sacrifice the sacred for corporate profit. And we need to remember why not. A molecule of gas from Chaco is the same as a molecule of gas from outside that 10-mile buffer zone. That molecule of gas could be easily developed outside and without disturbing the 4,700, let's say the number again, 4,700 archaeological sites within that 10 miles. Within that 10 miles. But if we let the bulldozers of the oil and gas companies destroy any of those 4,700 sites, they can never be reconstructed. There is no molecule of gas on earth that is worth destroying this cultural landscape that is known as Chaco Canyon. And I want to point something out, that right over there, Secretary Burgum appeared before the House Natural Resources Committee, and I asked him, will you yourself or somebody with decision-making authority make sure that you meet in person and consult about Chaco Canyon with every tribe and pueblo that is impacted? And he said yes. He committed to me that there would be in-person public consultation with every single one of the pueblos. And I ask you today, did he or somebody with decision-making authority meet with you? No. He lied. But we will hold him to his comment. We will hold the Department of Interior to the rules and the laws and the regulations, and we will not let them silence us. And so, as the senator pointed out, we have very few days, and we will make our voices heard, because we will not be silenced. The people who pray and continue in that line that in so many ways the prayers today reflected, that did not end as migration moved out, and that our leaders will tell us about today. It is not over, and we will not stand by and let those bulldozers take over this landscape. And I'm very proud to co-sponsor the legislation in the House that the Senator Luján, carries in the Senate, and Senator Heinrich champions in the Senate. And we will use that legislation for permanent protection. We will push to keep the withdrawal, and we will push. We have things at our disposal, and we will not give up, because Chaco will not give up its prayers without us supporting them. And with that, I want to yield to Representative Stansbury. Is Melanie here yet? I'm going to yield to Representative Gabe Vasquez, who knows these lands and knows these prayers and is in the fight with us. Representative Vasquez.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes, and thank you, Senators Heinrich, Luján, Representative Leger Fernández, and Representative Stansbury, Chairman Sanchez, and all of our Pueblo governors who are here today, and the New Mexico community who has joined us from many rural tribal communities to make the trek here to Washington, D.C. Folks, Chaco's history runs deep. Way before statehood, way before territorial status, way before Spanish control, Chaco served as a central trading hub and a community that tells the stories of people who survived in the harsh, arid landscape of New Mexico. It is an American story. It's a story of triumph. It's a story of tragedy. And it should be ours to keep and to preserve for future generations. Chaco today is a living cultural landscape. It's a vibrant place of prayer, pilgrimage, and court to the identity of many Southwest tribes whose connection to this land stretches back thousands of years. In other words, there is no replacing it. The administration's decision to revoke protections for the greater Chaco landscape are an absolute gut punch to New Mexico and to our pueblos, and to give just the public 14 days to respond is an insult. The 20-year mineral withdrawal that has protected the public land surrounding the Chaco Culture National Historic Park was the result of thoughtful engagement and consultation with tribes, with local communities, with stakeholders who recognize the extraordinary cultural and spiritual significance of the greater Chaco landscape. Decisions that took years to make and to build should not be thrown away in 14 days. For years, New Mexico's delegation has been united in calling for these protections to remain in place. We've sponsored the bill to protect Chaco, and we've fought for that bill here in Congress. Let me be clear to the Secretary and to the administration, every single member of Congress in New Mexico's delegation opposes this review and the revocation of protections. We've urged the administration to reverse course. We've asked for meaningful tribal consultation. We repeatedly invited Secretary Burgum to visit Chaco. As Representative Leger Fernández, he agreed to come to New Mexico and to hear directly from Pueblo leaders before making decisions that will shape the future of this sacred place. That invitation still stands. It's open. New Mexico's doors are open. Because protecting Chaco starts with listening. Listening to our Pueblo leaders, to tribal nations, to local communities, and to the people who have cared and lived in this landscape for generations. If we don't believe in protecting places like Chaco in this country, then what do we truly believe in? What do we truly stand for? The cultural resources and history in the Chaco landscape are irreplaceable, and once they're lost, they are gone for good. So Secretary Burgum, withdraw this proposal, conduct meaningful government-to-government consultation with Pueblos, and do your due diligence before taking any further action. That is the least that you can do for New Mexico. Thank you. And most of all, come to New Mexico like you agreed to. Come and enjoy some of our chili. Come and enjoy our beautiful landscapes. And more importantly, come and talk to our Pueblo leaders. Listen to the people whose ancestors built these places and whose communities continue to care for them today. Because once you understand, Secretary, what Chaco means to the people of New Mexico, this won't be a difficult decision for you. This is about keeping our government's promises to tribal nations, protecting our shared history, ensuring that future generations can inherit a Chaco Canyon that remains whole, not one that is chopped up or sacrificed for short-term profits. And so, again, I am grateful for the All Pueblo Council of Governors and their leadership, every tribal leader who is here with us today, council member, advocate, our state representatives and legislators who are here, who have fought to protect this sacred place. We in Congress stand with you. I'll continue doing everything I can do to ensure these protections remain in place. And I want to urge all New Mexicans listening to make their voices heard and submit a comment before the July 29th comment deadline. Make your outrage heard. You can find the link to do so on the BLM National NEPA Register and on our websites. Thank you. We can do this. Let's save Chaco Canyon. I'd like to introduce now, back again, APCG Chairman Sanchez. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming. And I want to thank Senator Heinrich, Senator Luján, Representative Leger Fernández, Representative Vasquez, and Representative Sandberry, and all our federal partners for standing with Pueblo people and recognizing the importance of protecting the greater Chaco landscape. I'm Joey Sanchez, a member of the Pueblo of Santana and former governor, and serve as chairman of the All Pueblo Council of Governors. I am joined today by over 40 tribal leaders behind me, including governors, lieutenant governors, spiritual leaders, and also staff. I want to thank them for being here and for continuing our fight. The All Pueblo Council of Governors represents 20 sovereign Pueblo nations in New Mexico and Texas. We come together in this body to advocate for the issues that mean to most of our people: our land, our water, our cultural heritage, our sovereignty. We come together because in numbers we are stronger. We are here today to speak about a place that is sacred to all Pueblos and other indigenous people, the greater Chaco cultural landscape. Chaco is not a museum. It's an isolated archaeological park. It is a living cultural landscape. It has interconnections, a network of ancestral sites, community ceremonial places that we continue to use today. We travel there spiritually, we travel there physically to pay tribute to our ancestors and to continue to ask them for our help in our daily lives and for our future for our kids. For more than a decade, the Council, along with individual member Pueblos and the Hopi tribe, have acted to protect Chaco. We have passed resolutions after resolutions calling for a permanent withdrawal of the federal lands from oil and gas leasing around Chaco. We asked for the passage of the Chaco Cultural Heritage Act Protection Act for meaning government-to-government consultation. But we don't get that. You know, in 2020, the Council authorized the establishment of the Chaco Heritage Tribal Association. They work hard to provide us with meaningful dialogue and also information on how we can advance our protection causes for the protection of Chaco. In 2023, after years of advocacy by our Pueblos, the Hopi tribe and our partners, the Department of Interior issued the Public Land Order 7923, which withdrew approximately 336,000 acres of federal land within the 10-mile buffer zone of Chaco from new development of oil and gas leasing for the next 20 years. This was a hard-won victory and a meaningful step to a permanent solution. This was product of years of consultation, environmental review, and organized advocacy of Pueblo people, Pueblo nations. Many hours were spent. Some of the people that worked on that are no longer here with us, but they spend many hours dialoguing how can we do it, how can we fight for something that's so dear to us. Today, that protection is under threat. 14 days to protect the site that's over 1,000 years old. Like I said, we still go there. We still use it. We sing songs about it. We pray for that's guidance. And like with the stroke of a pen, that could be gone. That's not fair. You know, look at these gentlemen behind us, women with us. They're fighting for something that's in their heart that we all truly believe needs to be protected. As I said, the Council formally opposes the revocation. We demand the Interior to suspend the process. You know, give us that government-to-government consultation that you, Secretary Bergen, promised, that you testified and said you would. But you did it, and you still haven't. We're out here, we came out here to advocate for our protection and several other items that are meaningful to us as Pueblo people. We asked for a meeting, but we never got it. I don't know if you're here in town, but you know, we're here, we're ready to meet with you. We ask you to come out and visit. Because once you see the land, once you feel how it feels to be there, it's a spiritual experience. You know, Chaco was also recognized by the National Trust Historical Preservation as one of 2026 11 most endangered historical places. So it's not just us saying that it needs to be protected. It's everybody that's saying this place needs to be protected. We are, like I said, we are grateful. We can't do this alone. You know, we need everyone's help. You know, to the Department of Interior again, honor that federal trust responsibility. Suspend that revocation process. Meet with us tribal leaders. Meet with our governors. You know, to Congress, pass the Chaco Heritage Area Protection Act this year. Don't allow the protection that has took decades to build to be reversed, like I said, in a stroke of a pen. To the public, stand with us. Contact your representative. Submit comments to BLM during this comment period. 14 days is not a long time. You know, so the Pueblos have protected Chaco for thousands of years, and we're not going to stop. Not today, not tomorrow, not next week. Our children are still going to fight to protect this place. So join us, and thank you very much. And now I'd like to call up Representative Sainsbury.
Good afternoon. I am Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, and I am deeply proud to represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District. But even more than that, I am deeply proud to be a product of the landscape that we are fighting to protect today. I was born in San Juan County. I was born on the banks of the San Juan River in Farmington, and I grew up in this landscape. And we want to be clear here today with the leadership of the All Pueblo Council of Governors and every tribal leader across New Mexico that Chaco Canyon is not for sale. As we know in New Mexico, Chaco Canyon is sacred. It is ancestral. It is a landscape that stretches as far as the eye can see. It is a place filled with ancient cities, kivas, and sacred sites. It is a place that is filled with song and prayer and the dances of generations. It is a place that is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is the holiest of places to which countless generations of Pueblo and Diné people have returned to since time immemorial. And so, imagine a place so sacred that generations have fought to protect this landscape, that this administration under Donald Trump and this Secretary of Interior would give only 14 days for the public to submit comment on revoking the protections of this landscape. It is immoral, it is unconscionable, and we will fight it every single day in Congress, in the courts, and in our communities, because Chaco Canyon is not for sale. But we also want to be clear that we cannot fight this fight alone. And so to the American people, we need your help, we need your support, and we ask of you, there are 7 days left to leave a public comment on the BLM's webpage, to submit your public comment to say Chaco Canyon is not for sale. Support our tribal leaders, support the people of New Mexico, support the people whose footsteps that we walk in. Continue to stand with the leaders who are here today and continue to tell this administration to get their hands off of our sacred sites. And I say to our Pueblo and tribal leaders, we will be with you every single step of the way.
Thank you, Representative Sainsbury. Now I'd like to call up Governor Riley from the Pueblo of Acoma.
Thank you, Chairman. Quasi hopa, kai tau hopa yasin at skawis kayui skayers teamish. Do not asha charsi skotani. Tawa hopa wetsi troyasht. Good afternoon to everyone. I hope today finds you, your loved ones, and all your relations in good health. It's good to see everybody. My name is Charles Riley, and I'm the governor of the Pueblo of Acoma. I want to thank our New Mexico delegation for standing with us today, and also want to acknowledge Chairman Sanchez and all the governors that are here today who carry the same responsibility I do to protect the places of our ancestors that have been entrusted to us. For the people of Acoma, Chaco is not a distant landmark. It is family. Our ancestors walked those canyons. They built those great structures and left their prayers in the ground. The ties we hold to Chaco are living ones. They carry our language in our ceremonies, in our pilgrimages to Chaco, and in the responsibility passed to each new generation. When we speak of protecting Chaco, we are speaking of protecting ourselves. This spring, the National Trust for Historic Preservation named the Greater Chaco landscape one of America's 11 most endangered places. The Pueblo of Acoma brought this nomination forward, and it was carried by the All Pueblo Council of Governors and a wide coalition of partners. It is the second time in 15 years that Chaco has been placed on this list. The designation tells our country, and it tells the federal government what is happening at Chaco. It matters. It's a matter of national consequence, and that more eyes are now watching what is happening. The mineral withdrawal, now under threat under Public Law 9723, protects public lands that surround the Greater Chaco landscape and the Chaco Cultural Heritage Historical Park. It was not gifted to us. It was developed through years of consultation, collaboration, study, and advocacy by the pueblos and tribes who hold Chaco sacred. The federal government took its time because the stakes demanded it. What we are seeing now is the complete opposite. The administration has proposed to erase that protection entirely and has allowed the public only 14 days to respond, 14 days to answer a decision that took years to reach and one that will be felt for generations. That is not consultation. It is not honest, open communication. It is not government-to-government process the United States owes to tribal nations. This week, the governors came to Washington to be heard. We met with the Bureau of Land Management Director Steve Pierce and Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs Billy Kirkland to speak about protecting Chaco. We are grateful for that time. We are grateful that the director acknowledged the sacredness of the place we call Chaco. But Director Pierce also told us plainly that this decision is not for him to make. It belongs to Secretary Burgum. Secretary Burgum declined to meet with us this week. We have asked again and again to sit down with the Secretary directly at the outset of their review. We have offered to take him to Chaco as his predecessors went, so he could stand in that place before deciding its future. He has not accepted. We ask Director Pierce to carry our request back and hope that Secretary Burgum takes us up on his offer. Because the decision maker in this matter has not yet looked at the pueblos in the eye, and he has not yet stood on the ground he proposes to open. So we are asking Secretary Burgum to do what he should already have done. Withdraw this proposal. Leave Public Land Order 7923 in place. And sit down with the pueblos in a genuine government-to-government consultation. And come to Chaco himself and stand where our ancestors stood before he decides its fate. Public Land Order 7923 is real. Hard-won protection, and it should be permanent protection under the law. The Pueblo of Acoma will keep standing along our fellow Pueblo governors, this delegation, until Chaco is protected to good. Thank you very much. I want to now introduce Governor Antonio from the Pueblo of Laguna.
cái đầu straw xin được chết opa mà tao ai sẽ cái sai work trên straw next year got in a coopish tire cái you Juna Montana. I want to welcome all the people here, as well as thank you to our congressional team, as well as my brothers, the APCG government, the leadership, and all their staff for being here with us today. The Pueblo of Laguna, this issue is deeply personal. The Pueblo of Laguna knows both the benefits and the lasting consequences of energy development. We have a uranium mine that's no longer in operation called the Jackpile Pawadi mine. We have lived with that history for generations, and we know the decisions made in the name of development can leave impacts long after the work is done, and we are now suffering those health impacts as well as the degradation of our land base. That experience has taught us that some places should never become sacrifice zones, especially places that carry the history, the prayers, the identity of indigenous people. The greater Chaco landscape is one of those places. We are not asking for special treatment. We are asking that irreplaceable cultural landscapes be protected before they are lost forever, and Chaco Canyon is one of them. And that the lessons learned of the past guide the choices being made today. I now introduce Governor Mark Mitchell from the Pueblo of Suzuki.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Mitchell. I am the governor for the Pueblo of Suzuki. I also wear a second hat, and that's the vice chairman of the All Pueblo Council of Governors. I want to thank all of you for being here. At this time and moment, we talk about government-to-government relationships with the tribal nations and the federal government of the United States, and whether that relationship will be honored. And when the decisions are difficult, like this time, meaningful consultation is what we're asking for. With respect, talking to tribal leaders, taking their concerns seriously, and allowing the knowledge to influence that outcome. It means recognition that the Pueblo nations possess the knowledge, the history, the culture, a culture that cannot be replaced by any reports. People have participated during the public scoping process because they understood and understand what is at stake. The federal government now has the opportunity to demonstrate those various matters by accepting our requests to consult, meaningful consultation that we are just not nobody to overlook. Protection of the greater Chaco Canyon is not only consistent with a federal trust responsibility, but it is the right decision to do. You all have that fiduciary responsibility, and we will not let you go just because. I hope you all understand what is at stake. It's critical. I ask the general public to stand with us to protecting these sites. Who knows? Next site could be your very own home, your very own places that you all might want to protect. So with that, I now want to welcome Governor Raymond Aguilar of Kiwa Pueblo. Thank you.
Meral sekka kos ahseis aina shreya tjema meda kaistes kahtsi chiba kutra eta tuni tuja tapu uiat ja tohutra adi hu tsi isk tjum ena sa kos ahtseja Good afternoon. Raymond Aguilar Jr., Governor of Santo Domingo Pueblo. I want to thank the representative from our New Mexico delegation from New Mexico for their words. Certainly, our ancestors from Santo Domingo Pueblo, ancestors, through our elders, have taught us their oral language. Through the first contact, when the first Europeans arrived, we accepted you. We fed you. We asked you to partner up, partnership, through collaboration, consultation. That is the oral history we have with the United States federal government. Pueblo country, Pueblo history is unique and different amongst the other U.S. tribes, federally recognized tribes. We have never been displaced. We have never been moved. In fact, a Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, presented us governors with canes, inherent sovereignty to govern ourselves, to be the stewards of our land, community, animals. We held those canes with the ultimate respect. And later on, the Spanish, the Mexican canes were also afforded to the Pueblo leaders. And lastly, the New Mexico state canes. Inherent sovereign authority to work with the federal government. Today, we stand on the U.S. Capitol, sacred grounds to the United States of America, acknowledgement of that respect. Chaco Canyon is our capital. We laid down our pollen, our corn pollen, in the efforts and understanding that continue working together, that in a spirit of unity. I went to visit Chaco Canyon. A non-native approached me, walked up to me, and told me, your spirits are still here. A non-native telling me this. He could hear the ancestors singing, dancing at night. Although he couldn't see him, he felt it. We feel it. Pueblo leaders feel it to this very day. Our ancestors are still there. They're still singing. Sing with us today, public. Sing with us and recognize what we're here for. Chaco Canyon is a sacred kiva for us, a cultural learning entity that we still rely on for power of prayers moving forward. That holds us. That's our integrity. That's our way of life. That's our bloodlines. Our bloodlines. Chaco Canyon held all of us. Laws and ordinances put in place to hold that peace and harmony, the same core values that we have in our community, same core values that the United States government has. Let's have respect for one another. Let's continue partnering up. Let's continue talking about consultations. I urge you, public, continue, stand with us and fight for us. Be fierce leaders on your own. I ask that respectfully. Thank you very much. It's an honor to introduce Pueblo de Cochi Governor, Feel the Thrill, Governor Phillips Quintana.
Thank you.
Hope you didn't mind me saying that.
You bet. That's great. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Philip Quintana, Governor of Cochi Pueblo. I have a simple but strong message. The decisions made today will outlast every person standing at this podium, and they will shape what our children and grandchildren will inherit. That is why they matter. The question before us is simple. What kind of legacy will we leave? Will we choose short-term extraction, or will we choose to protect one of the most important indigenous cultural landscapes in North America, a place whose meaning reaches far beyond any single administration? Pueblo leaders know the answer. We ask the administration to choose wisely, to listen to the Pueblos, and to leave a legacy of respect rather than regret. know, it's hard not to get emotional because of the love we have for this place. But it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of determination. That's what it is. So, thank you all for listening. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Governor Naranjo of Santa Clara Pueblo.
Governor Naranjo is not with us at the moment. We'll go on to Governor Conchelo from the Picaris Pueblo.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you and welcome everybody. I'm Governor Conchelo, Picaris Pueblo. Like Senator Heinrich said, people often think Chaco is a place on the map. You know, for Pueblo people, it's much more than that. It is an ancestral landscape that connects our people through sacred places, roads, shrines, history, and generations that come before us. Picaris has provided our oral history and our traditional knowledge. And now, a peer-reviewed science has further confirmed our ancestral connection to Chaco. But we do not need a laboratory to tell us what our ancestors already knew. We already knew that. So as the federal government considers changing these protections, I have one simple question. What changed? Did our archaeology change? Did these places somehow become less sacred? Did our ancestors move? Our ancestors should not have to be rediscovered by every administration. If the facts have not changed, don't change the protection. Thank you. I would like to introduce Governor Turbino from Zia Pueblo.
Yeah, you butchered it. That's fine. All right, thank you. Goatsi hopa, stutsi paikyan sitran, yakusi na hanusu, maora sosi shrawa, stutsi tiama yosu. Thank you again. Protecting Chaco is also about respecting indigenous knowledge. Pueblo people have cared for these lands for centuries. Our understanding of these places come from lived experience passed from one generation to the next through stories, songs, responsibilities, and continued relationships with the land. We ask federal agencies to recognize that cultural knowledge deserves the same respect as scientific data, and that both are needed to understand what is truly at risk. When both are considered together, the conclusion is clear. Greater Chaco deserves lasting protection. It is my honor to introduce Governor Moquino, San Ildefonso Governor.
Uviak indi sengiti hita kiribo ti onti okota tiki e kota wahata kiribo uvi ansha me wisigi wisekane. Good morning, good afternoon, Governor Christopher Moquino from the Pueblo de San Ildefonso. It's great honor to be here in the presence of our New Mexico delegation, along with our strong tribal leadership from the Pueblos of New Mexico. Today and this week, we walked the halls of Congress to educate, reaffirm, and confirm that the Pueblos are still here, still united, and will not be defeated throughout our history and future. We educated from health, land, environment, education, and justice are a few of those items that we addressed this week, but with the main priority of protecting Chaco Canyon. The strength of today's delegation is our unity, and that unity comes from shared understanding of what Chaco means to our people. Pueblos from across New Mexico have come to Washington with one message: honor the commitments that have already been made, including the years of consultation and advocacy that led to the current protections. Respect tribal nations, protect Greater Chaco. Future generations should inherit a living cultural landscape, not one that we failed to defend when we had the chance and not remembered only for what was lost. Thank you. I call upon Chairman Sanchez to close us out.
Thank you, Governor Moquino. And with that, we'll go ahead and take some questions, if there's any questions out there. Going once, going twice. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of you coming and taking the time out of your day for a very important landscape protection, as you would say, for us Pueblo people. Like I said, it's very dear to us. You know, it hits the core of who we are. And like a lot of Governor Quintana said, it's an emotional thing, but it's not, because we're weak, we're strong, and it means a lot to us of how and what we can do for this protection for the generations to still to come. So I'd like to thank you very much, and I'll go ahead and have Governor Riley close us out with a prayer.
Mark Sana she's team. Scots in your scopes of the IU. Come here, Mark Sana is this china. Dawa is the Watum team. Stop Poop says, come here. His coaching, come here. Congressional delegation, they see I would tell me see scopes like I would say. Come here, Mark, the where see Hano, the Archer, see Skywatch, I see Wash Bar Shoko. They've hard to I see Bennett, Washington, see neutral for Waterma. So it now nice Croatia, they see no to come cruise, so seen tip cruise. Croatia, see no one cruise. It don't make tweet him. Guna Kai see no to come cruise. It me unit to gay yani umas utiu. That's it to say why yani. She me unit to gay yani umas utiu. See near water need to water. Come here, Mark to wash the autumn team. Stawa at him, hearts and make go met see a sheet runner. Don't make Croatia, see no one cruise. Ratsan, cruise past X, a nice teams. God's in your scopes, they are you come home, I see Squayama Taiko. Yap, show me, where see Umats Utu, see straight water, and about New Year, I see Scott Sam, about near see Truction and near see straightway. Where see to have the school yard, you can see try what pets in the hopa. Me and her some Mikumi hopa.
So the governors are and tribal leaders are open to questions if you want to get with them individually. Thank you very much.